Finally your person put you to the big test. Just to see if you were. God is moving right now in a way that shakes the heavens, and the angel assigned to your life has stepped forward with an urgent message that cannot wait another moment. The Spirit of the Lord is stirring the atmosphere around you because something has shifted in the unseen realm. The angel declares that this moment is not ordinary. You are standing in the middle of a divine revelation, a supernatural turning point orchestrated by God Himself. Everything you have lived through, everything you have wrestled with, everything that felt confusing, delayed, or heavy is about to be redeemed in a way you did not see coming. The angel says that the person connected to your destiny, your person, your divine counterpart, recently put you through a test they never spoke about, a test designed to reveal what lies beneath the surface of your heart. And heaven is saying, you passed. But before the angel unveils the details, the angel insists on this. Comment Amen if you feel the presence of God even now, because agreement is alignment, and alignment is the doorway to blessing. The angel says the ones who comment 1111 are stepping into divine alignment, and the ones who comment 777 are positioning themselves for supernatural completion. These aren't just numbers. They are prophetic symbols. Every time you type them, you are activating spiritual resonance. The angel says that as the message unfolds, those who respond in faith will feel waves, actual waves, of confirmation moving through their spirit. The angel says that God saw when you questioned everything. God saw the nights when you wondered if this connection was real or if you were imagining it. God saw the moments when your heart broke because things felt one-sided, uncertain, or delayed. But the angel reveals the truth. It wasn't your imagination. It wasn't your longing projecting illusions. It wasn't fantasy. It was spiritual reality. Your person, the one whose soul has been intertwined with yours in ways they cannot explain, had to know if you were genuine. They had to know if you were loyal. They had to know if you were spiritually aligned. They had to know if you were sent by God or if you were just another distraction in disguise. The angel reveals that this person has been wrestling with more fears and insecurities than you knew. The angel says your person has been wounded by betrayal in ways that scarred them deeply. They loved someone before with their whole soul, and that soul betrayed them. And because of that, their heart built walls high enough to touch the clouds. They prayed for a real connection, a kingdom connection, a divine connection. They prayed for a partner who would stand beside them, fight for them, believe in them, and not disappear when things got difficult. They prayed for someone who could see past their mistakes and still choose them. And then you arrived. You, with your heart that carries light. You, with your soul that mirrors purity. You, with your intuition that sees beyond the surface. You were the answer, but they were afraid the answer was too good to be true. So the angel says that heaven allowed the test. This wasn't a test to harm you. This wasn't a test to punish you. This wasn't a test to belittle you. This was a test to reveal you. God wanted your true intentions to shine. Your person needed to see your patience, your compassion, your spiritual maturity, your consistency. The angel says you were unaware of the depth of what was happening, but your action spoke louder than any prophecy. The way you handled delays, silence, confusion, tension, every moment became part of heaven's testimony about you. And now the angel says these words with thunder in his voice: you passed the test that was meant to expose your heart. You passed the test that was meant to reveal your loyalty. You passed the test that was meant to determine whether this connection is divine. You passed, and heaven is applauding. Type 222 if you receive that, because 222 is the number of divine partnerships, spiritual unions, and God-established relationships. The angel continues, your person never planned to test you. They didn't wake up one day deciding to examine your heart. This was a subconscious test born from their fear, born from their past wounds, born from their desire to protect the fragile parts of their soul. They watched your reactions. They watched your energy. They watched the way you handled their withdrawal, their silence, their uncertainty. And everything you did confirmed something that terrified and comforted them at the same time: you are real. The angel says this revelation hit your person like lightning. They realized that you weren't like the others. You didn't guilt-trip them. You didn't pressure them. You didn't force clarity. You didn't demand constant affirmation. Instead, you held steady. You remained patient. You gave grace. You operated from love, not fear. You responded instead of reacting. You prayed instead of panicking. You believed instead of abandoning. And that shook them spiritually. The angel says your person was waiting for you to give up. They were waiting for you to walk away, because that's what everyone else did. But instead, you stood. You remained. Not in desperation, but in divine alignment. Not because you couldn't let go, but because your spirit recognized something your mind couldn't fully articulate. Your soul knew you were dealing with something sacred. And this is where the angel becomes louder: the test is over. You have entered a new spiritual phase. You are stepping into your breakthrough season. The angel says those who comment 999 are stepping into the moment of divine closure for everything that has been blocking communication, clarity, and union. The space between two souls destined to meet is never truly empty. It is a cathedral under construction, its arches built from silence, its foundation poured from patience. And in this sacred quiet, the angel speaks. It reveals a truth that hums with the resonance of a long-forgotten vow. Your person feels a profound shame, a slow-dawning horror at the realization of how they tested you. This was not a simple, casual doubt, but a probing of depths, a challenge to the very core of your being. They erected mazes of uncertainty and asked you, silently, to find your way through. They set conditions, perhaps unconsciously, to see if your light would flicker under the winds of their indecision. And now, seeing you stand, unbroken, consistent, patient, they are awash in guilt. This guilt is not the brittle, self-flagellating kind, but the heavy, fertile soil of a conscience awakening. They doubted a heart that heaven itself had vouched for, and in doing so, they glimpsed the terrifying abyss of a loss that is not merely personal, but cosmic. They almost let slip through their fingers a gift that was not just wrapped in chance, but handcrafted by divine intention, stitched together with threads of purpose meant for their soul-specific architecture. This realization is overwhelming. It collapses the fragile ego structures they had built for protection. They are beginning to see you through new eyes, eyes washed clean by this wave of remorse. You are no longer a possibility among many, a branch they could choose to grasp or ignore. You are becoming destiny. The narrative of their life is being rewritten in their mind's eye, and with a shock, they see that you were not a random entry in a later chapter. You are a character written into the prologue, your name etched in the margins of their story long before the ink of their first breath dried, long before your own birth cry echoed. The angel stresses this: they see your value now. That value was always there, luminous and undeniable, but they were afraid to behold it. To acknowledge a treasure of such magnitude is to accept the responsibility that comes with it, to rise to the occasion of being a custodian of something holy. Their fear had dimmed their perception, but now, the scales are falling away. And this is not a passive process. The angel describes a divine operation underway. God is in the business of heart softening, a delicate, intimate artistry. Like a polisher gently working rigid clay, he is applying pressure exactly where it is needed, not to break, but to make pliable. Old wounds, those fossilized hurts they carried like stones in their pockets, are being poulticed by a love that is seeping in from the spiritual realm, a love that you, in your steadfastness, have become a conduit for. Spiritual blockages, those calcified residues of past betrayals and self-preserving vows, are being dissolved. These are the very blockages that manifested as distance, as hot and cold behavior, as a frustrating inconsistency that left you questioning your own sanity. They are being removed, one by one, and the energy that was bound up in maintaining those walls is now being freed, creating a current that pulls them toward clarity. Your person is waking up spiritually. This is a pivotal shift. The mundane is becoming translucent, revealing the sacred patterns beneath. They are having dreams where you appear not as a symbol, but as a living presence, imparting feelings of peace or urgency that linger upon waking. Signs and synchronicities are multiplying around them like fireflies in a summer twilight, repeated numbers on clocks that pull their gaze, your name seen on a street sign, a book title, whispered in a conversation between strangers. Songs from a shared past, or new ones with lyrics that pierce straight to the heart of your story, play on random shuffles, becoming undeniable confirmations. They are feeling waves of conviction, powerful emotional surges that are less about sentiment and more about spiritual imperative. These waves carry a single, urgent message: step up now, or lose the blessing. It is a realization that this is no longer a matter of casual choice, but of obedience to a higher narrative. The angel leans in, its whisper a vibration that stirs the air around you. The shift has already begun. This is crucial. You are not waiting for a starting gun. The race is already in motion. Your person is in a state of preparation, gathering the scattered pieces of their courage, rehearsing the words that have lodged in their throat for so long. They are preparing to reach out, to confess the totality of their testing and their shame. They are ready to apologize with a sincerity that seeks no absolution, only the chance to lay their truth at your feet. They are ready to reconnect, not on the old, uncertain ground, but on new territory forged by this hard-won honesty. They are ready to clarify every murky intention, every mixed signal. They are moving, now, with intentionality, each step considered, each word weighed. The pride that once armored them feels like a leaden vest, and they are ready to unfasten it and let it fall. They are ready to communicate openly, to choose you with a courage that stares down the ghost of every fear that once held them captive. But here, the angel's tone becomes one of grave and loving emphasis. This next part is crucial. Do not chase. Do not force. Do not pressure. The divine orchestration requires your cooperation, and your role in this movement is one of glorious, powerful stillness. You are to stand. Stand in your divine feminine energy if that is your essence. Receptive, intuitive, nurturing, the magnetic pole that draws without grasping. Or stand in your divine masculine energy, direct, protective, purposeful, the stable ground upon which foundations are built. Whichever is your core truth, stand in it unwaveringly. Stand in confidence, not the arrogance of the ego, but the quiet, unshakable knowing of the soul that recognizes its own worth and the truth of the bond. Stand in spiritual alignment, your own channel clear, your heart open to heaven, your will surrendered to the divine timing. For the angel says your silence, your stillness, your peace, and your surrender are the final, most potent ingredients that magnetize this person toward you. Your frantic energy would only create static, confusing the signal. Your peace broadcasts a frequency of home. Your surrender to God's plan is the ultimate act of faith, and it creates a vacuum of trust that divine love rushes to fill. In your quiet confidence, they see a reflection of the destiny they are being called to. Your stillness is the altar upon which their anxiety is calmed. The angel then unveils the cosmic reason behind the very nature of your connection. That feeling you could never quite articulate. The spiritual intensity, the prophetic sense of knowing, the magnetic pull that defies logic, the unexplainable depth, has a simple, staggering explanation: it is not human-made. This is a soul contract, etched in the halls of eternity before either of you took form. This is a divine partnership, assembled by heaven for a purpose that transcends your individual lives. You and this person, in a realm of pure spirit your conscious mind cannot now remember, made promises to each other. Promises to be catalysts for each other's growth, mirrors for each other's healing, allies in each other's rise. You promise to unite, not just for companionship, but to build something, a legacy, a ministry, a family, a work of art, a wave of influence, that would impact generations. The world, in its aching need, is waiting for the unique alchemy that only the combination of your two spirits can produce. Heaven has not been merely observing. It has been orchestrating this reconnection with the precision of a master composer, because the symphony of your union has a movement that the world needs to hear. This grand purpose is also the reason for the recent upheaval. The angel speaks plainly of spiritual warfare. The increased opposition, the sudden doubts, the external obstacles, the internal anxieties, they flared up because the enemy recognizes the threat of this union. The enemy knows what this connection is capable of unleashing. A torrent of healing that will wash over others, a love that models divine commitment, a ministry born of shared testimony, an influence that shifts cultures. The adversary understands the combined calling you carry, and sought to sever the tie before it could be fully realized. This is the hidden context behind your person's testing, behind the seasons of confusion, behind the timing that seemed so impossibly wrong. It was not just personal hesitation, it was a skirmish in a larger war. But heaven, the angel declares, has flipped the script. The very tests meant to break you have been redeemed as tools of strengthening. The confusion has been translated into a deeper seeking. The impossible timing is being revealed as perfect divine chronology. And so the angel proclaims, your breakthrough is not coming, your breakthrough is here. It is not a distant hope on the horizon, it is the ground shifting under your feet in this very moment. The revelation, the awakening, the shift in their heart, this is the breakthrough. The physical manifestation is its inevitable echo. The angel continues speaking, and the realm around you stills as though creation itself is leaning closer to hear what heaven is about to unveil next. For so long, you have walked with questions that felt unbearably heavy, questions about timing, intention, purpose, divine alignment, and whether the love you have carried in your heart was ever truly seen by the one it was meant for. Now, with the softness of a dawn rising over a tired soul, the angel reveals that the next scene in this divine drama is already forming, already shimmering into manifestation, already breathing with the breath of God. You have been faithful in the shadows, but now the story moves into the light. Within the sacred architecture of divine timing, a timing that will feel sooner than your weary heart dares to expect, your person will move toward you with a courage they once did not possess. This next move is not casual, not impulsive, not born of fear or longing alone. It is the result of a spiritual awakening so profound that even they cannot fully articulate it. Something has been stirring in them, a quiet but persistent nudge from heaven that refuses to let them remain in old cycles. It began as restlessness, a subtle discomfort when they tried to distract themselves from you. They attempted to rationalize it away, to bury it under logic, work, routine, or even silence. But the whisper did not leave. In fact, it grew louder. The angel says they are about to take a bold step, one that carries the weight of their entire journey. This step will express itself in many possible forms. A message typed with trembling hands but undeniable sincerity, a confession that cracks open the hardened surface of their heart, a meeting imbued with a new and unmistakable seriousness, or a shift in their energy so tangible that when you feel it, your spirit will sit upright inside you. They have been rehearsing the words in their mind, not because they want to impress you, but because they fear failing at articulating the truth you deserve to hear. They are preparing themselves emotionally, spiritually, and mentally because this moment marks the turning of their destiny. They will reveal the why behind every confusing behavior, every retreat, every test that once felt like rejection but was, in reality, fear. The angel whispers that they did not believe you were real. They didn't believe your love could be real, your patience could be real, your consistency could be real. When someone has lived so long surrounded by counterfeits, illusions, disappointments, and people who wore masks that cracked under pressure, the presence of something genuine feels like a threat, not a blessing. They had been misled so many times that your authenticity felt too good to trust fully. You were the miracle they had stopped believing in, and sometimes miracles frighten the ones who prayed for them. So they poked, they prodded, they pushed, they withdrew. Not because they didn't want you but because they didn't know how to receive you. They feared that if they leaned into you, you would vanish like everything else that once felt promising. But you didn't vanish. You didn't retaliate when they hurt. You didn't mirror their fear. You didn't demand more than they could give. You didn't force the connection or manipulate the outcome. You simply showed up. With tenderness, with patience, with spiritual groundedness, with a love that carried divine timing rather than human desperation. And that love, the angel notes, was stronger than their fear. It seeped into the cracks of their defenses in ways they did not expect. It softened terrain they swore would remain stone forever. It rewrote the story their trauma kept trying to convince them was permanent. Where others shouted, you whispered. Where others demanded, you waited. Where others tried to dominate, you chose compassion. Where others needed to prove their worth, you simply embodied yours. And there is something else the angel emphasizes. Your spirit aligned with theirs long before either of you recognized it consciously. This is why every attempt they made to disconnect from you spiritually left them feeling hollow. This is why, even in silence, they still felt your presence like a gentle pulse in the atmosphere around them. This is why, no matter how far they tried to wander emotionally, they kept returning to the same realization: you were the one that felt like home. Not home as in comfort alone, but home as in destiny, purpose, divine assignment, soul contract, kingdom marriage blueprint. You were the missing puzzle piece that snapped into place with that soundless, perfect click, so perfect it frightened them. The next chapter is now bathed in a new light. The angel says that you and your person are stepping into a chapter where divine clarity dissolves all confusion, where fears lose their grip, where doubts shrink in the radiance of divine truth. Emotional honesty will replace emotional distance. Transparency will replace avoidance. Spiritual alignment will replace spiritual conflict. You will not move forward as two individuals merely hoping for love. You will move forward as a united force following a divine blueprint written long before either of you understood the magnitude of this connection. Your person is being rewired by God Himself. The angel shows you their heart as if it were a sculptor's clay, once cracked from the pressure of past wounds but now being reshaped with tender, deliberate hands. Old neural pathways of fear, mistrust, and avoidance are being replaced with new circuits of trust, courage, vulnerability, intimacy, and spiritual obedience. Their mind is being renewed, the toxic thoughts that whispered they were unworthy being washed away by a flood of divine truth. Their spirit is being awakened, rising in its fullness like a lion standing after a long sleep. They are awakening into their destiny connection with you. They tested you. Not because they wanted you to fail, but because they were terrified that you were too beautiful, too pure, too aligned to be true. They feared being tricked again by the enemy. They feared giving themselves to the wrong person again. And in the courtrooms of heaven, the angel says, the verdict has now been declared. The evidence of your faithfulness was brought forth. The records of your compassion were read aloud. Your endurance, your prayer, your patience, your spiritual maturity, your unconditional love, all of it was laid before the council of angels. And heaven has ruled in your favor. You are exactly who God said you were. You are the answer to the prayer they whispered years ago, the prayer they abandoned, the prayer they thought God ignored. You are the living proof that God was working even when they doubted. You embody the type of love they were told they did not deserve. You are the fulfillment of a divine promise they once labeled impossible. And now, because heaven has affirmed your identity, your assignment, and your role in their life, nothing can alter what comes next. This is the culmination. This is the divine turning point. This is where the waiting transforms into receiving, the confusion transforms into clarity, the longing transforms into fulfillment. Your blessing, long held in trust, is now active. It is no longer still water. It is living water in motion. Your miracle is rolling toward you like a boulder pushed by angelic hands, gathering unstoppable momentum. Your person is waking up, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. They are shaking off the final remnants of fear, shame, guilt, doubt, and spiritual fog. They are stepping into the dawn of revelation. And once they step toward you with this new awareness, it will be with a certainty that cannot be reversed. The angel says nothing. No force of hell, no generational curse, no trauma wound, no counterfeit connection, no lingering insecurity, no lie of the enemy, can stop what heaven has ordained. The story was written before you were born. The contract was signed in soul ink long before you met in the physical realm. What God unites, no earthly force can separate. You have both now crossed into the chapter where the promises are remembered, the tests are redeemed, and the love that was destined becomes fearless, stable, and eternal. If you receive this prophetic word, type 1111, 222, 777, or 999 to align your spirit with this angelic confirmation. If you feel heaven moving on your behalf, type Amen.